Type a single word into Amazon's search bar and hit enter. In the half second before the page loads, something happens that most shoppers never think about. An auction runs. Dozens of sellers who make the exact same kind of product just bid against each other in real time for the right to be the first thing you see. You didn't vote in that auction. You didn't even know it happened. But its outcome decides almost everything about what you're about to buy. Here's the part that should surprise you. Of the first 20 products a typical shopper sees after searching, only about 4 of them are there because they're actually the best match. The rest are paid placements, listings a company bought its way into. On mobile, you can swipe through 2 or 3 full screens before you hit a single result nobody paid for. And here's the uncomfortable twist. Roughly half of Amazon shoppers cannot reliably tell the difference between a sponsored listing and a genuine organic result. The word sponsored is sitting right there in small gray text. Most people scroll straight past it. This is not a glitch in the system. It is the system, and it has quietly become one of the most profitable businesses on earth. In 2025, Amazon's advertising division pulled in more than $68 billion. To put that in perspective, that is more advertising revenue in a single year than YouTube generates from ads. And YouTube is one of the largest video platforms on the planet. It makes Amazon the 3rd largest seller of digital advertising in the world, trailing only Google and Meta, 2 companies whose entire business model has always been advertising. Amazon built something comparable almost by accident. Tucked inside a website most people still think of as a place to buy paper towels. So how does a company that built its reputation on selling physical products end up making this kind of money from something that isn't a product at all? The answer starts with a simple realization Amazon had over a decade ago. The search bar is real estate, and real estate at the top of the page is the most valuable real estate in retail. Here's how the mechanics actually work. Sellers on Amazon bid on keywords, the exact words a shopper might type in, the same way advertisers bid on search terms with Google. If you sell phone cases, you might bid on the phrase "clear phone case." Every time someone searches that phrase, Amazon runs a split-second auction among every seller who bid on it. And the winner's listing gets the prime slot at the very top, dressed up to look almost identical to the organic results sitting just below it. Depending on the category, that single click can cost anywhere from around $1 to well over $5. Competitive categories like supplements have been reported climbing past $7 per click. And the seller pays that fee whether or not the click ever turns into a sale. Now stack that on top of something sellers were already paying before a single ad ever ran. Every third-party seller on Amazon hands over a referral commission on each sale, typically somewhere between 8 and 15% plus separate fees if Amazon is warehousing and shipping the product for them. Advertising is layered on top of all of that. For a lot of sellers today, the combined weight of commissions, fulfillment fees, and advertising spend eats up more than half of what a product actually sells for. Sellers have started describing it as paying rent twice, once to stock the shelf, and again just to be seen standing on it. And this is where the business becomes almost unfairly efficient for Amazon. Selling physical products is a brutal, capital-heavy business. You need warehouses, delivery trucks, staff, and razor-thin margins because you're competing on price every single day. Advertising doesn't need any of that. There is no warehouse for a sponsored listing. There is no truck delivering an auction result to your doorstep. It is pure software sitting on top of infrastructure Amazon had already built to run its store. Industry estimates put the margins on that advertising business somewhere between 50 and 70%, which puts it in the same league as Amazon Web Services, the cloud computing division that quietly became Amazon's profit engine years before advertising caught up to it. Retail sells you a box. Advertising sells a spot on a screen. One of those has almost no cost attached to producing it twice. There's a deeper shift buried in here too. For years, Amazon's whole pitch to sellers was that the best product would win. Good reviews, competitive pricing, fast shipping, and you'd climb the rankings on merit. That system still technically exists, but research studying Amazon's search results has found something telling. Products with genuinely poor organic rankings, buried deep on page 100 or further, can still show up as sponsored results ahead of products that are actually ranked better organically. In other words, a worse product with a bigger ad budget can now outrank a better product with none. Visibility, increasingly, is something you buy rather than something you earn. That has a quiet ripple effect on the price you pay. Advertising is not a charity expense for sellers. It's a cost of doing business. And like every other cost of doing business, it eventually gets baked into the sticker price of the product. When a seller has to spend $2 or $3 in ad fees just to land a single sale, that money has to come from somewhere, and it's rarely coming out of the seller's own pocket. It gets folded quietly into the price you see on the listing. So the auction you never noticed happening in that half second before the page loaded isn't just deciding what you see first. In a very real sense, it's deciding what you pay. Which brings us back to that search bar. The next time you type in a product and a wall of results appears almost instantly, you're not just browsing a store. You're watching the outcome of an auction that just happened faster than you could blink. One where companies you've never heard of just spent real money for the privilege of being the very first thing your eyes land on. Amazon didn't build the world's biggest store by accident. It built the world's biggest store and then quietly turned the walk down the aisle into the most valuable inventory it owns.